All right, let's just jump right into it because today we're tackling one of the biggest, most fascinating questions in all of biology. Seriously, this is a debate that has stumped scientists for decades and really makes you wonder, what does it even mean to be alive? So that's the big question. Are viruses alive? I mean, on one hand, they act alive, right? They spread, they cause diseases, they evolve to get around our defenses. But on the other hand, outside of a living thing, a virus is, well, it's about as alive as a speck of dust. It's like a biological ghost, floating somewhere between the living and the non-living. So, to figure this out, scientists have this kind of checklist for life. Let's act like detectives for a few minutes. We're going to take a virus, put it on the stand, and see if it passes the test. Okay, first up on the checklist, cells. This is pretty fundamental stuff. Everything we know for sure is alive, from the tiniest bacteria to the biggest whale, is made of at least one cell. But viruses? Nope, they fail right out of the gate. They're basically just a bit of genetic code, like DNA or RNA, wrapped up in a little protein shell. No organelles, no nucleus, none of the stuff that makes a cell a cell. So that's a huge checkmark in the not alive column. All right, what about making babies? Reproduction. Living things can copy themselves. And yeah, viruses definitely make more viruses. But here's the catch. They can't do it on their own. Not even close. A virus has to find a living cell, break in, and hijack the cell's machinery to start making copies. It's like a pirate that can't build its own ship, so it just steals one instead. But just when you think you've got it all figured out, science throws a curveball. And this one is called the mimovirus. It's this massive virus, bigger than some actual bacteria. And get this, it carries some of its own genes for replication. It's still not totally independent, but it definitely blurs the lines and messes with our nice, neat little categories. Okay, next up, energy. You, me, the plant on your windowsill, we all need energy to live. We have a metabolism. We eat food, we process it, we burn it for fuel. A virus particle, or what scientists call a virion, does absolutely nothing. It just floats around using zero energy, totally inactive. It's only after it infects a cell that it starts to use that cell's power supply to build more of itself. And what about responding to the world around them? You know, if you touch something hot, you pull your hand away. That's a response. A virus doesn't really respond in that active way. Its whole interaction is passive. It's more like a key floating around until it happens to bump into the exact right lock on the surface of a cell. It's just chemistry, not a conscious action. So what's the verdict? Well, after running through biology's official checklist, we've kind of got a hung jury. As Abigail Howell from Arizona State University puts it, the answer is still unclear, and the debate just keeps going. The old rules just don't seem to work here. And that's where things get really interesting. This deadlock has forced scientists to come up with a whole new way of looking at the problem. What if, instead of focusing on what a virus is, we should be looking at what a virus does? I mean, really, what if the entire checklist is the problem? What if trying to stick a label like alive or not alive on that little virus particle is just the wrong question to be asking in the first place? So let's reframe this. Forget invader for a second and think hijacker. What you're looking at here is a map of a cell's metabolism, all the complex machinery that keeps it running. When a virus gets in, it doesn't just hang out. It storms the control room, and as you can see from all these arrows being redirected, it completely rewrites the cell's programming. It's like the virus comes in with its own to-do list. It forces the cell to start burning way more sugar for energy. It completely rewires the production lines to start making the building blocks for new viral genes. It orders the cell to crank out more fat to build new protective shells for all the new viruses. It is a complete and total takeover. Think of the viral DNA as a new foreman walking into a factory. It fires the old boss, grabs the microphone, and tells every single worker to stop what they're doing. From now on, all resources, all energy, everything is dedicated to one single task: building more viruses. The cell isn't really a cell anymore. It's a virus factory. And this idea, this total transformation, has led some scientists to propose a brand new concept, a really clever way to just sidestep that whole yes or no debate and talk about what's actually happening. They call it the Virocell. Here's the idea. That little particle floating around, the virion, that's not the living part. The Virocell, that hijacked, reprogrammed factory of a cell, that's the true living active stage of the virus's life. Now, this is a huge mental shift.
The virus isn't a non-living thing that attacks a living thing. The virus is a process that creates a totally new, temporary life form, the Virocell, whose only purpose is to spread the virus's code. It's wild.
So while scientists can debate the philosophy, you might be wondering, does any of this actually matter in the real world? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Because when it comes to keeping ourselves healthy, understanding these things is everything. And it all comes back to understanding their structure. The single best way to defeat many viruses, like coronaviruses, for example, is ridiculously simple. Just washing your hands with good old soap and water for at least 20 seconds. But why is soap so amazing? Well, a lot of viruses have a fatty outer layer, a lipid shell. Soap molecules are really cool. They have one end that loves water and one end that loves fat. So the fat-loving tails dig into the virus's protective shell and literally pry it apart, causing the whole thing to fall to pieces. It's brutal. And even for viruses that don't have that fatty shell, the scrubbing action and slipperiness of soap physically lifts them off your skin so you can just wash them down the drain. Hand sanitizer just can't do that physical removal part. So in the end, whether a virus is technically alive is a really fun, mind-bending question for a biology class. But what really matters is knowing its structure. We don't have to agree on whether it's alive to figure out how to break it. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. If a virus is really just a piece of biological code, basically software, that rewrites the operating system of a living cell, well, where does biology stop and information begin? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?